Welcome back. This is Kyle with All in Survival, and today we're going to talk a little bit about bug out bags. In the past, I've done a video kind of overviewing my bug out bag, and there was quite a few questions in the comments and from friends about what actually is in the bag, how much. So today we're going to take a little bit closer look at what I call a generalized bug out bag. Not a get home bag, not an inch bag, but something that you can manage, but has a little bit of everything in it. All right, first thing we're gonna do is talk a little bit about the bag. The bag is an Eberlestock Dragonfly. I've had this bag for probably 7 years. I've taken it out several times. It's bomb-proof. I've had only one issue the entire time, and that was just yanking down on straps, and I ended up breaking one of the buckles. Pretty easy fix. But all right, the bag. Now I'll do some generalized on what's in the bag, and I'll pull everything out here in a minute. But what we're gonna do is I'll just talk about the general layout of the bag. All right, so on the top I've got a pretty well stocked first aid kit. I want it on the outside and I want it easily available. So it's mounted there, it opens, it clamshells out. On the other side I've got 2 AR mags available. On the outside of my bag, if I toss my ruck down and I'm using it as a platform, I've got 2 more mags sitting right there available. On top, I've also got a caddy for shotgun shells. And I'm not totally sure whether I would have the AR in my hand or the shotgun, so if I bring out the shotgun, I'll fill the caddy up and I'll have that available to me. On the back side, this right here, it's the winter months. So during the winter months, I toss, there's technically 2 jackets here, folded up and attached to the outside of the bag. On this side of the bag, we have a Camelback bottle. My knife is readily available on the outside. It'll probably go on my person once things kick off. Canteen on the hip belts, and also some G-code connectors, and you'll see why here in a moment. Go to the other side. I carry a Gerber hatchet. It also doubles as a crowbar. I go back and forth on whether I really care to carry the extra, it's about 1.75 pounds, maybe a little closer to 2. Also have a saw and another canteen on that side. In the canteen is a field pressure dressing, and on the other side is it's a Camelback solution for keeping you from getting dehydrated. All right. It has a secondary small pack on the bottom. This is mostly my shelter equipment, and you can take it off and use it as a field expedient belly bag or butt pack, however you want to carry that. This pack has the ability to run a rifle. I really like that feature. You might not always want to have your rifle in your hands, so it's kind of nice to have that. All right, we'll go ahead and tear it all out. I'll do my best to make it quick. I have a feeling this video will go a little bit long, but we'll see what I can do in editing. All right, let's get back here in just a minute. All right, now that we've looked at the bag as a whole, I wanted to show you what it looks like laid out. And there's a lot of stuff here. About every 6 months to a year, I go ahead and pull everything out. I check to make sure everything is good to go. I rotate some of the food. I rotate the beef jerky and a few things. But I also look at it and try and decide what do I need and what can I live without. And it seems like about every single time I do this, I end up tossing a couple more small things in and trying to pull a few more small things out. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this table, and we'll talk about all of this stuff one by one, and we'll go through it. All right, one of the major components of any good bug out bag or get home bag or any of that good stuff is water. So I live in the desert, so water is going to be pretty important to me. In fact, in many ways, I feel like I don't have enough, and I will never have enough. So I struggle with this one all the time because I don't usually keep these full. I've had some bad reaction to leaving stuff full for too long. So I keep a couple of gallons of already purified water next to my go bag most of the time. And it sits there, and I will grab it all and fill everything up on the run, most likely. All right, so the Camelback bottle is on the outside of the go bag. The 2 canteen pouches that these go in are on the belt of the go bag. I keep an extra canteen cup. This one is a new one. I've only, I've never really used it in the field, but I've used them in the field many, many times. I go back and forth whether this is worth it, but I keep some of the water purification tabs. I've had these a long time, and I've never used them, but I do keep a water filtration set up, and I also keep a life straw. So also being in the desert and dehydration is a pretty big deal. I usually keep a couple of these electrolyte tabs from Camelback, and I would never suggest putting those in your Camelback because you're going to be looking for growth. After that, it's really going to grow and probably get nasty and potentially make you sick. So, all right, we'll move on. All right, the next piece of kit we're going to talk about is your shelter system and how are you going to get out of inclement weather. And I'm a fan of the Hennessy hammocks. With my back issues, I'm not a fan of sleeping on the ground. I took this out on one of my videos. I did the 3-day, and it was in October. It was pretty cold, up at about 8,000 feet. So I added this piece of kit. This is an insulated, and I have not tested these together. But this did add an extra, I'm going to say, 1.5 pounds because it's the insulated one. That's unfortunate, but I was considering going all the way to a full one-man tent, and many of the suggestions online here was go ahead and just go with that. I'm going to throw this poncho into your gear when it comes to your shelter, because this does have grommets at the corners. You can go ahead and hook this up and tie it up. It's good. It's kind of like having an extra drop cloth or an overhead cover. Always a good thing. For warmth, once again, realize that I live in the Southwest. I don't, even in the winter, I would probably stay in the low levels of the low tree levels, and I don't keep a very, very heavy sleeping bag. So I got a military whoopee. I also have this down puffy blanket. This is like 0.5 pound. This is really, really light. Everybody knows how light these are. So I'm trying to stay as light as I can when it comes to this stuff. Always difficult, always difficult. This is my shelter setup. Next, we're going to talk about first aid. I keep a pretty substantial first aid kit attached to the outside of my bag. I've learned through some rough times that you can almost not have enough, but also I've got to hump it, and ounces equal pounds, and pounds equal pain. So I'm going to go ahead and break this out, and we'll show it. As I opened it, I realized everybody should see that the first thing available to you on the, just as I zip it open, is a rat tourniquet and a combat gauze Israeli bandage. Those, in general, should be the first things you can get to. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this off and break it all the way open, but I wanted to show that there's should be some forethought involved in that. Okay, so I tore it all out, and the basic concept for this first aid kit is half of it is for major wounds, gunshot. So I have the Israeli bandage, we have a rat tourniquet, the Celox granulars that you actually, with an applicator, you actually put into the wound. Another combat gauze, quick clot system. This is the most bulky part in there, and this pretty much takes up one whole half. Airway, chest seal. On this other side, pretty much comes down to boo-boo type stuff, right? So, and I'm glad that I went through this because as I'm looking through all of this stuff, a lot of the Band-Aids and stuff like that are starting to discolor around the edges, and I know it's time to go in and change them out. And there's, they have an expiration. They're just not going to work very well. So it's good to go in every so often, every year or two, and replace all the Band-Aids and stuff like that. So, different size Band-Aids, some stop bleeds. It's also a stop bleed for your nose, some iodine. I also have another little bottle of iodine. Steri strips, anti-itch. This bag's got a bunch of a little bit of everything. Extra Band-Aids. There's even a couple of lidocaine patches in here. My mother, before she passed this last year, was an RN for 30 years and helped me put this together. So gloves, a little set of some burn gel. These are for toes mostly while you're humping it. I end up getting hot spots on the tops and the tips of my toes. So I recognize that issue and bring some extra gauze, some tape, and then a little bit of medications. Some Tylenol in there. What else do we got? Some throat lozenges and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more than what I would say most people should have in their little get-home bag. But this bag is not necessarily what you would say is a get-home bag for a one-day walk. I usually toss this bag in my truck if I'm going more than 50 to 100 miles away. So if I'm going to leave the valley and head away, I will throw this in the back of the truck. And my AR, so that's just being said. Okay, let's move on. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is cook kit and food in your get home / bug out bag. Now, I guess I'll talk about the food first. All right, so a little over a year ago, I did a test of the bug out bag, and I ate the Mountain House for 3 days, and I was totally thrilled with that. That's definitely not a problem. Also, I really like the Costco thick cut. But you have to change this out every about 4 to 6 months. And it's time for me to get a new one of these. It's still soft, but if I let it go any farther, it'll be super hard and probably taste not so good. Always good thing. Lots of calories there. Last thing is vitamin C powder. It was cold when I was out there, and these were great because I cooked them up hot water and just sipped on them. Also coffee. I originally went with a taster's choice, and to be perfectly honest, I hated it. I was a friend of mine, Alan, turned me on to these, and although I do not drink creamer and sugar in my coffee anymore, I really enjoyed these. They have coffee, creamer, and sugar in it, and it's very good. Black coffee, just taster's choice, is terrible. So in the field, I will go with a little extra calories instead of just black coffee. Now, I have carried an Esbit stove in my kit for 3 or 4 years. And I will tell you that although these are very easy to pack and use, they're not always your best option. I will probably be looking for another option with these two. The couple things that you need to understand is these get hot, but if there's any kind of breeze or you have passing air going pretty fast and you're not shielding it, your water will take forever to boil, for sure. And it may not fully boil. And if you don't get fully boiled water, your meal will not completely reconstitute, and you'll be having a bad day. So the other thing to think about is your fire starting kit. These are impossible to start with a Flintstone or a striker or anything like that. They're also extremely hard to start with just regular matches. I can't tell you. So if you watch the other video, I made it to the field with a lighter, some matches, and a striker. I always keep 3, right? But what I didn't realize is that my Bic lighter had cracked on the side and I had lost all the fuel, right? So these are why we test our gear. So I went through the first day trying to light these with matches, and it was next to impossible. So of all the things on my bug out trip that I say was a complete failure is I had to hike back to my truck and pull out an additional Bic lighter out of my truck. And I made note of that, but it was always good to see that there are some failures in your kit and how to fix those. So anyways, I'm going to be on the market for maybe a titanium little stove that I can just toss some twigs and stuff like that and start that too. I can also boil the water in there too. I'd like to have both. So this is one of those few times where I'm talking about adding a piece of kit. All right, let's move on. All right. I bring some sort of a toiletry kit and some additional stuff. I'm going to break the toiletry kit out, but SPF, this is 100. So anti-chafe, anti-itch. Vaseline will also work, but this is also itch too. And some repellent. I'm not a huge fan of the creepy crawlies. So let me go ahead and break this open. All right. So what do we got here? A little bit of deodorant, a little bit of SPF stick for your lips or, top of your nose. Some TP rolled up in a little bag. Toothbrush, toothpaste. Some no rinse shampoo. And this is bug spray. And of course, a little tiny military style fix-it kit. So, for buttons and all that. This is not needed. This is, especially for a get-home bag that is a 1 or 2 day walk, it's not needed. But, once again, if you're going to be out on the path, on the trail, trying to get home or whatever for a week or for a month, these could make the difference between a go or no go. Also, sunscreen in Vegas area, Southwest. I get chafing, even though I hate to admit it. So, you push 30 miles or 20 miles on your first day or two, and you get chafed really bad, you're going to move like an 80-year-old for the rest of your trip. So, use this generously. All right, I'll put this away. All right, so here we're going to talk about a few random items, and we're going to start with light. I'm a big fan of these Lucy blow-up solar panel. They are very interesting, and they have some functions. You blow them up, and they actually work much even better than that. I also keep a couple of long emergency candles in there. A signaling mirror. This is a headlamp. Of course, I'm using my hand here. This is a headlamp that's rechargeable, and you can actually recharge it with this. Very interesting. Let's go with fire, okay? So I might be going a little overboard with the Bic lighters now, but I just told you my story about having one of these broken, and for as little as they weigh, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have a couple. But this one's got 10 feet of 550 cord, or I'm sorry, Gorilla tape around it. So we got Bic lighters, I got a striker, and these are, there's some matches in here, and there is Vaseline infused cotton balls. All right, you would basically cut this open, pull out a little bit of the Vaseline cotton ball, and light it with a Bic, and this worked very good. I also have, this weighs almost nothing, so I keep it in there once again, a mosquito netting. This is a cleaning kit for the pistol and rifle, and some extra oil. This is not needed per se, but I can think of 100 reasons why I would want to have it if things went badly. So, safety whistle, some extra tape, a Write in the Rain notebook, and right. So, let me move on. All right, now we're going to talk about tools. All right, these are the tools that I keep with me. There are better knives out there, but for the utility of the fact that you can turn this into a spear, it is basically bomb-proof, and it comes with a striker too. So we got a saw, a Gerber, a little hatchet that's also doubles as a crowbar. If I had to get rid of one, it would probably be the hatchet. But once again, I keep going back to the fact that I can think of 100 reasons why I would want to have it. So also I got a bunch of 550 cord there. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you really get rid of one? I don't know. So for now, I'm going to keep them together. If I was out there in the middle of nowhere and I hadn't used the hatchet and I needed to get rid of 1.5 pounds, I'd, ditch that. But highly doubt it. We'll see. Okay, let's talk a little bit about clothing. For the last few years, I've kept this waterproof pouch of a change of clothing. And I'll pull it out and show you what's in here. I've kept it in my bag. It is absolutely the heaviest item in my bag. And I've thought of 100 reasons why I should keep it and 100 reasons why I should ditch it, but so far I've been keeping it in. Also, this is a little down-filled little jacket, and it's a great insulator, and it fits and snugs down to almost nothing. So that stays in the bag all the time. Now, during the winter months, once again, I have to preface this by saying, I live in Las Vegas. It gets cold. It got below freezing in the last couple of nights ago, but it is January. I keep a couple of different jackets kind of rolled up together, and one's a like a fleece hoodie, and the other one's like an outer shell. And usually what I do is somewhere around September, October, I will put these together and I will roll them tight, and I will not zip tie, but I will attach that to the outside of my bag. I want to have them available. There's also a pair of gloves and a beanie in here somewhere, and I'll go ahead and find them, but they're here. I'm going to go ahead and break this out, and I'll talk a little bit more about the jacket and why I do that. But let's just say it was August, and I need to kick off and get out of town. This would still be really good to have once you started getting into the high country. But you have to worry about weight. Weight is always the key. So if I got a 2 or 3 day walk and it's August, I'm probably going to ditch it. But I'd rather have it attached and ditch it than not have it attached and need it. So let me go ahead and break this out. I'll show you what's in the kit, and then I'll talk about what my thoughts might be when it comes to this kit for later. Okay, I broke everything out, and first thing I want to do is talk a little bit more about the jacket. Okay, so I use it in a two-part system. I've got this over jacket, and I believe it's a Condor. It's a Condor. I've had it, maybe 5 or 6 years. Then also there's a good chance this is also a Condor. So the jacket set is Condor. It's an outer and inner jacket. This also has a hood that you can pull out. So you could keep yourself dry if you needed to. It comes with a set of gloves, liners mostly. What was in the bag was, we'll start with a base layer. It's got some long johns and a pretty thick neoprene base layer. And some pair of Dickies, basically, that really thick, beat up old pair of pants, but they are in good working condition, and I keep those in there as a change. 2 very good sets of wool socks and some basically cool underwear, like those super soft, and if you're going to put some real miles on, those are a pretty good option. There's also a moisture wicking long sleeve here, and if it was hot out and you want to keep the sun off of you but also be cool, that's a very good option. So now let's talk a little bit about the weight of that. Now it's honestly probably close to 4 pounds. It is by far the heaviest item in my bag. And I go back and forth on whether that is needed or not. Now, if I'm 50 miles from home, and that's going to take me 2, maybe 3 days if things are really bad to get home, because I'll push pretty hard on 50. At 100 miles, now I'm going to have to think about longer term. But the 50 miles, I wouldn't necessarily need to change my clothes. I might want an extra pair of socks. But anything more than 50, now we're talking about changes of clothes, the ability to have one pair of jeans or whatever you're wearing off, clean them in, you know, some water or whatever. Anyways, I go back and forth. Now that's 5 pounds. The bag is pushing, and this is dry, pushing 60 to 65 pounds. I just told you that if I end up leaving the valley and going more than 50 or so miles away, I usually throw the AR in the back of the truck too. So that being said, I would have another 8 pounds or 9 pounds on top of that. So I'm not sure. My thoughts are leaning heavily towards doing kind of the same thing I do with this. I'll get a small bag, but then I'll attach it to maybe the outside. If I don't need the change of clothes, it's not in the bag for permanently, and I can just go ahead and just disattach it and maybe pull out the extra pair of socks and then ditch it. So just a way to maybe minimize some weight, but also have it just in case you need it. So it's always that catch-22. So, all right, let's talk about last couple of things before we get going. All right. I also keep 4 10 mil industrial trash bags and 8 of the Ziploc full gallon size freezer bags. There are a billion things that you can do with these, and I would say in general there's not any weight involved. If I would have carried maybe 4 or 5 more of these, it would start adding up to some real weight, but 4 and 8. And like I said, you can use those for a million other things. All right, one of the last things that I keep inside my bag all the time is a holster and ammo. Now, I everyday carry a Glock 19. I have several 17s that in any particular situation could be in my possession. So I keep this. This is a G code Glock 17. It will also fit the 19. It just won't come all the way to the end. So, and the reason I keep these in the bag is I want a couple extra loaded magazines ready to go. If I'm in a get home situation, I'm not necessarily kitted out for war. I'm going to be avoiding trouble at all costs. So a couple of magazines for the unexpected firefight, but I will be breaking contact quickly. So the reason I keep these is on my belt are the clips, right? I'm not going to keep these on all the time, but when the time is right, you can actually connect this and put this on the other side. Here's the other one. And they sit right in front of where the canteens are. They're on my belly belt, right? This is an Eberlestock, and we've talked about it several times. But it also has the full ability to carry a rifle. So, all right. Well, that's why I keep that in there. And, you could argue that that's extra weight I don't really need. But, and you could also argue that it's better to have it concealed. Now, just so you know, these can be taken off. You can actually attach these directly to your belt. It takes a few minutes and it's a little bit of a chore. But if you'd like to be totally concealed, you can also do that. And, right. So, all right, let's cut back and we'll do some final thoughts. All right, in conclusion, we've gone through the bag, we've looked at everything. Now, I won't lie, this is not a small bag, it's not a light bag. I just weighed it at 61 pounds. And that is, it's a significant amount of weight, and that's dry. Now, I'm 255 pounds, 6'5", so you really have to kind of look at the bag and what kind of supplies you want to have with you, and also what your capabilities are. When I was in my early 20s, late 20s, I would regularly put 100 pounds on my back and go, but not anymore. So this would be a significant pack to try and move around. It's a work in progress, right? You have to continually look at your situation, decide what you want to put in and take out. I will say that this bag, although it's bomb-proof, it is not light. You're already starting off somewhere in the probably 6 pounds just for the back. Now it has a pretty robust shoulder and belt system. There's metal rods going down, so it is it's a well-made heavy Cordura material, so it's not light. So if I haven't hit something that you guys are interested in knowing, go ahead, put it down in the description there or in the comments, and you know, like, subscribe. I'm going to try and put out a little bit more content. So as always, stay safe out there.